Game 3 between the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces wasn't just a playoff matchup. It wasn't simply a test of talent, grit, or game plans. It was a night that felt hijacked, a contest stolen in real time, right in front of thousands of screaming fans at Gainbridge Fieldhouse and millions watching across screens. What should have been a showcase of competition turned into a flashpoint of controversy. The Fever didn't just play the Aces, they played the referees too. And when the final buzzer rang, the scoreboard didn't reflect effort, strategy, or determination. It reflected manipulation. The Aces walked away with a win, but for anyone who watched closely, it wasn't earned, it was handed. The most painful part of the entire night is that this cloud of controversy overshadowed what should have been a career-defining moment for one Fever player, Lexie. Hull. Her performance was the type of effort that deserved to be etched into WNBA playoff lore, the type of story fans pass down when talking about resilience and heart. But instead of celebrating Hull's courage and production, all the talk circled back to the whistles, the non-calls, and the blatant bias that warped the game's outcome. From the opening minutes, the tone was set. Every time Indiana clawed for rhythm, the referees sliced it apart. A'ja Wilson extended a leg on a screen, and instead of calling her for the obvious violation, they whistled Hull for a foul. Moments later, Michaela Onyenwere got shoved by both Wilson and Nalissa Smith, but instead of free throws, Indiana got nothing. These weren't borderline judgment calls. They were glaring errors that stripped momentum away from the Fever. By halftime, the Fever should have been clinging to a slim lead, but thanks to the selective whistle, they trailed. It was as if the rules were written differently depending on which jersey you wore, and it wasn't just Game 3. This pattern stretched across the series. Game 1 had already raised eyebrows, with Vegas parading to the free throw line while Indiana's physical defense earned them whistles instead of stops. In Game 2, the whistle turned into a metronome, stopping play every few seconds and suffocating any chance the Fever had to build tempo. Even head coach Stephanie White, known for measured commentary, couldn't ignore it afterward. She flatly admitted that her team couldn't find a rhythm because the referees dictated the flow, not the players. By Game 3, the bias wasn't subtle anymore. It was blatant. The defining sequence came in the third quarter. Aaliyah Boston, Indiana's cornerstone, contested a call on Jackie Young. The bench rose, begging for a review. White motioned, desperate to use her challenge, but the officials refused to even acknowledge it. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray buried a corner three. The Fever's hard-earned lead vanished. In less than a minute, the referees had flipped the game on its head, not with a play, not with defense, but with arrogance and indifference. The Gainbridge crowd erupted, waving arms, screaming, pointing. Clips of the fiasco spread online like wildfire, each replay confirming the injustice. Fans slowed the footage, dissected every shove, every elbow, every phantom foul. The evidence was undeniable. A'ja Wilson, the supposed face of the league, could bulldoze her way into the paint with shoulders and elbows, and defenders would hit the hardwood without whistles. Yet when Indiana so much as breathed on an Aces player, the shrill sound of the referee's whistle cut through the arena. The Aces didn't build momentum by dominating possessions. They were gifted momentum possession after possession, as if the referees were more invested in their success than the players themselves. And through it all, Lexie Hull stood as a beacon of defiance. Hull wasn't supposed to even play meaningful minutes. She had tweaked her back in Game 1, was limited in practice, and entered Game 3 questionable. Her warm-up jogs looked stiff, her movements deliberate. Most assumed she'd play spot minutes, offer moral support, and sit. But what unfolded was something far greater. Hull gave Indiana not just minutes, but lifeblood. She scored 16 points, snagged 10 rebounds, dished 4 assists, and stacked 2 blocks and a steal into a box score that looked like it belonged to a healthy star, not an injured role player. She hit 3 massive triples, each one a dagger against Vegas's attempts to bury Indiana. Each one a roar that reignited the Gainbridge crowd. And beyond the stat sheet, it was the way she played. Diving for loose balls, throwing her body into rebounding scrums, boxing out frontline players who had every size advantage over her, Hull did what referees couldn't erase. She fought. Time after time, she crumpled to the hardwood, wincing, grimacing. And then she picked herself up, steadied her breathing, and lined up another shot. She tied a franchise record for playoff threes, hit her career high in postseason scoring, and became a living, breathing embodiment of the Fever's identity. Underestimated, beaten down, but never broken. Gainbridge fans knew it. That's why every Hull shot came with a wave of electricity. They weren't just watching a player perform. They were watching a warrior sacrifice her body for a team that needed every ounce of her. And yet, Hull's performance wasn't the headline. The referees were. What makes it sting even more is that on the opposite side, A'ja Wilson had one of her worst playoff games ever. After hitting an opening three, she clanked shot after shot, finishing just 6 for 20 from the field, 1 for 11 at halftime. An MVP putting up numbers that would get any starter benched. Wilson looked uncomfortable, frustrated, locked down by Aaliyah Boston's suffocating defense. Boston hounded her, denied her angles, forced her into contested fadeaways that had no chance of falling. This wasn't Vegas dominance. This was Indiana executing the perfect defensive plan, only to watch their rewards stolen away by officiating. Wilson may have struggled, but Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray picked up the slack. Young poured in 25 points, Gray added 15, and the Aces' supporting cast pieced together just enough baskets to ride the officials' tide. And somehow media coverage twisted it. Instead of praising Boston's defense, headlines cushioned Wilson's failure with talk of all-around impact or team balance. The truth, plain and simple, was erased. The MVP was bottled up, neutralized, and bailed out by whistles. Becky Hammon, never shy about defending her stars, added insult with her post-game comments, claiming Wilson was hit too often and pointing to her single free throw attempt as evidence. The irony was painful. This is the same Aces team that has lived at the foul line all series, the same squad gifted momentum by officiating. For Hammond to complain about calls was the ultimate display of entitlement, a refusal to acknowledge just how much the whistles tilted in Vegas's favor. And now, the series pivots. Game 4 looms at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where 17,000 Indiana fans are ready to turn their arena into a cauldron. Becky Hammon has already tried to set the narrative, warning that officiating might swing toward Indiana this time, an audacious suggestion after 3 straight games of favorable whistles. It's a signal of unease. Vegas knows the environment won't be friendly, and they know the Fever, backs against the wall, will come armed with desperation, heart, and a crowd that refuses to let injustice pass quietly. Indiana's path is clear. Establish Aaliyah Boston inside, force Wilson to defend honestly, and reawaken Kelsey Mitchell after her struggles in Game 3. Hull must carry her grit and momentum into another performance, even if her body aches. The Fever need every ounce of resilience because Vegas has cracks. Wilson's confidence shaken, Young shouldering too much, and a supporting cast untested in hostile playoff environments. Game 3 wasn't a loss. It was a theft. And Game 4 becomes more than survival. It's a test of character, a chance to flip the narrative and expose just how fragile Vegas looks when the officials don't serve as their shield. The Fever's season isn't finished. It's waiting for a moment. A chance to rise from controversy, to turn the noise into fuel, and to prove that grit, defense, and heart can't be whistled away forever. Do you think the Fever can bounce back and force the series into chaos? Drop your thoughts below, and if you believe in this team, type "Let's Go Fever" in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss the next breakdown. This series isn't over.